What's up, everybody? Jack here, and I want to show you why I haven't been making YouTube videos. And I'm completely cool with it. This is like one of the first times I haven't been making content, but I've been happy. And that's because this energy is still being used, and it is going into one specific thing, which is awesome because I'm really trying to go from the approach I used to take, where I was just trying to learn. I was in that information gathering phase, just trying to do as much as possible, get as much experience as possible, as fast as I could, right? And now I'm going from the other perspective of applying all that and spending time and putting it into one thing. And I think one of the best things about being that crazy regular for a while, where you're making content all the time and learning about it, is being able to just think, okay, I've learned enough now, I need to flip it, right? And then take a more analytical, patient approach, because you put yourself in a position where you have so much data that you don't really have to guess about stuff. You can just look at stuff you did in the past and how people responded to it and know what happened, right? And which is so much better than theorizing. So I'm telling you guys all this because I want you to know it's really not a bad thing that I'm not making YouTube videos as much, because it's going into something, and I think it's going into something really meaningful that I'm going to outline in all detail in this video. This is going to be a long video where I tell you everything that I know at the moment about the Spanish content website project that I'm working on as of February 1st, 2020. Okay? This is something that I have been working on and off on for like 6 months or so, but it wasn't until like a week or two ago that I really started like, okay, now every day I'm doing something related to it. Okay? So let's take a step back, and before I get into the details of all this documentation I'm about to show you, this is a membership website. You pay a monthly fee of $10. It's free for the first 30 days, and you learn how to earn money online. Okay? That's the basic premise of it. It's a website that you access, and it teaches you, or it has a lot of information on learning about specific things. Okay? So there's going to be text and video. I'm really trying to think creatively about how can I teach these concepts to people who aren't familiar with like all of the concepts and learning online. And I'm taking it from the perspective of, okay, if I assume I'm taking everything I know for granted, what do I need to teach to people who are brand new into actually trying to learn this? And keep in mind, this is from the perspective of a Nicaraguan person. I am making this in Spanish for Nicaraguan people. And it will be, the advertising campaign is in Nicaragua. I'm going to make it in a way where it can be used in other places, but that's where it's starting. And I get it. Okay, yeah, it's harder to make something in a different language than it is my own. People have said, why aren't you just making it in English? And I get that that's logical, but for some reason, I'm not as motivated to do it in English, just because in my experience, a lot of English speakers, their problems, they tend to have access to higher paying jobs, and if they value their free time, they tend to have access to jobs that are more flexible. And the self-employment world, I don't think is as useful to them. And that's just because of how I feel being in a Latin American country after living in the United States and being a self-employed person in the United States. Like, in the United States, it's more a thing, but you're like the only one you know who's like that. And people are just like, oh, you're different than us. Whereas here, it's more interesting to people, and it's something they're a bit more open-minded to. And that's a rash generalization. That's not always true about the States or about Nicaragua, but I just personally don't feel motivated to make this product in English, because I don't think that it's as useful to people who live in like predominantly English-speaking countries. Like in Nicaragua here, you just have to earn $500 a month online, and that's a life-changing amount of money. That's enough that you can drastically change whatever circumstance you were in before and change the problems that you face. And like solve all of the ones you were having, and then of course life gives you new problems on a different scale. But that's the whole point. You can get to that other scale. You can get to that next part with only $500 a month in income. And that is like not like, oh, living minimally. It's not living great. You're not going to be able to vacation and everything. But if you're earning $500 a month here off of 3 or 4 hours of work a day, you're earning more than a lot of people are earning working 10 or 12 hours a day. Imagine what that does to a person, seeing that you don't have to work all the time. Like, it's not even like, oh, well, smart people don't. Like, you literally don't have to if you don't want to, and you're patient, and you put yourself in a life where that isn't necessary. And that's the glory of the internet. And basically, all of us live in this world where we're raised by people who were raised in the old world. But everything changed with the internet, and you can use the internet to have a life where you don't have to be busy unless you want to. You can literally give yourself a life where you are free to do the things that you desire, and then give yourself time to grow the habit of doing those things to the point where you become a busy person who's happy, not because you're busy doing things for other people, because you are busy doing things for you that you have determined is what's best for your progress and your development. And this has a radical effect. Living in that environment has a radical effect on everything else you do. Your relationships, the other work you do, your friendships, they all become much more strong because you as a person aren't relying on them so exclusively. It changes everything. And the most horrifying part for me is this reality, because I used to think it wasn't possible, right? And I know a lot of you guys think it isn't. There's a part of you that doesn't believe it. You're like, no, Jack, you're just different, or whatever. Or you think I'm lucky or different or whatever. The only thing different, the only thing stopping anybody from becoming self-employment is their own mentality and time. Every one of us can literally just step out of the problems that most of us have in our society and live a life where we have control even when things go wrong, because we have set up plans to anticipate what happens. You can't do that when you have a job. It's impossible to always know that you have security. You can just get yourself a skill that's so valuable, you know you'll always be able to find a new job. But you're also sacrificing so much time. I don't know how to explain to people how dangerous it is to invest all of your time in any one thing. You know how many times I've been unable to spend time with someone because of something in their work. You know, that it's good for them, it's great for them to pursue their work. But for me, it often gets a bit lonely, you know? But then at the same time, as I say that, I also do that to other people. I'm tangential now at this point. I was trying to inspire you guys and get you guys excited. Now I'm going to get back on track. What is the Spanish content in detail? What is this document? So there's a bunch of concepts, and some of these are in Spanish, some are in English. I'm just going to explain them fully so that anyone who really wants to understand what the Spanish content website is can actually be brought up to speed with what it is so far and what I'm doing, okay? So it's in Spanish, right? Teaching people how to earn money online. Free for first 30 days, $10 a month after that, all right? Basic premise, basic framework. Now, there's a couple things that I'm teaching, right? And if we scroll down here, you'll get a better sense of it. These are just sections that the website needs to have, or concepts. It's just a place for me to compile notes about the things that I want the website to have. And at the moment, I'm a bit hesitant to talk too much about time frames. Like, I say things like this quarter or 6 months, but realistically, I just want to be in the habit of working on this every day. Say I'm working on it for an hour or two. No, okay, no more hour. That's right. I need to stop thinking in hours, because working on something an hour or two a day has nothing to do with how much you get done. Accomplishing specific tasks is progress. Working for an hour is a concept that comes from the desire to prove to people that you are trying and that you are doing something. But this desire to prove to people that you're working is dumb, because you could just work and do it, right? And that's why I'm trying to make sure that I call myself out whenever I use that phrase, that terminology. Oh, I need to do 2 hours of work a day, because that isn't realistic. That's a distraction. That means I want to be able to tell people that I work for 2 hours a day, but that isn't actually what I want. What I want to make sure I'm doing is working every day and effectively moving this product forward. And it doesn't need to be what I spend my whole day doing. I just need to feel confident that I'm progressing enough each and every day. And when I say days also, for me, that's weekdays. On weekends, I can work if I want to, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I don't have to. So whenever I'm saying I'm doing something every day, just to clarify, that is Monday through Friday, all right? Like, my self right now is at my happiest when I skateboard every day and get exercise. I spend time with people every day that I care about. I cook every day, and I work on this content website every day, okay? Now, this is a pretty big task for me because I'm not fluent in Spanish. I'm definitely way more comfortable because I've lived in a Spanish-speaking country for 2 years now. So I'm way more used to it. And I feel confident that I can practice everything enough because it's not a live product. I'm just making a course and using video and text. And I have made a Spanish video before. So now a lot of what I'm doing, I start in English, and then I translate it, and then I get like my friends to read it and tell me what they're confused about and that basic stuff, okay? So now we're going to transition into what the course actually teaches, and I'm going to tell you the concepts in English, but sometimes there's going to be Spanish in the background, okay? So first, there are some laws. This is like a way of thinking that you have to have if you want to make sense of the world of self-employment and be able to integrate it into your life and do this in a way that is effective for you based on who you are as a people and the industries that you choose to get involved in, okay? It starts with this. The first law of income is that income is generating when you combine a product with interested clients, okay? And this was income with traffic. There's a lot of different words you could use here, really. You could use clients, you could use traffic, you could use consumers, you could use clientele. There's a bunch of different words. I just need to be consistent in what I'm teaching because I have to operate on the assumption that the people I'm teaching, a lot of them aren't going to know all of these concepts because these concepts honestly are different from the lens of what works in self-employment. They may be different than what most common usage of the word is. So I have to pay attention to these words and make sure that I'm using words that I can easily explain to people who aren't used to this kind of topic, because that's the kind of people I'm trying to get interested in. And one of the reasons I'm more comfortable doing this in Spanish is because it forces me to look at every single word that I'm saying and ask myself, is that relevant or does that have a chance to confuse somebody? And in general, I find that you can type 3 or 4 sentences, but really the only ones you needed was like half of one of those sentences. And then you just add another word and boom, you have all of that meaning that you thought you had a whole paragraph for in one little snippet. So much easier to understand, so much less likely to confuse people, because ultimately, the more words you have, the more able to confuse people you are. So if you limit your word choice and use as few words as possible to explain a concept, you are mitigating the chance that what you're taking is going to be taken in a different way. Obviously, you can't always get rid of that, but I find that it's better to use less. It's a more effective way to teach, to have less wordage than it is to have too much wordage, okay? That being said, this is the base premise that you have to understand. In order to make money, you have to combine a product that you've created with people, interested clients. Like I said, you could use a lot of different words. I'm going to say interested clients from now on, okay? And note, they're not just clients, they're interested clients. That word is important, okay? You can't just combine a product with a bunch of random people and think that you're going to produce income, right? So first, let's understand, what is a product? A product can be three things. It can be a physical good. This cup is a product. Okay? It can be a digital good. This YouTube video, this is a digital good. So is a course, so are most information products. Or it can be a service. And now a service can kind of blend the world of physical and digital sometimes. But essentially, service is when you need to perform an action and you're being reinforced. It's that action, right? The cup is a product, but the ability to have water inside it is because I pay a service that allows me to have access to water. Okay, that's a bit different. It's still a kind of product as far as the self-employment world is concerned, because again, the self-employment world revolves around this concept of there are products and you combine them with interested clients to produce profit. Everything you do has this at its core. Okay, whether you are being a consultant, whether you are working as a virtual assistant for somebody, whether you are hired by someone and you have a full-time job, but you work from a computer, no matter what, if there is profit and income, then this rule applies. It's like gravity. If you're on Earth, you are a slave to gravity. That's how the self-employment world works with this, right? And I understand it seems a bit ridiculous to boil things down that way, but keep in mind, my goal with this whole experience is to get people who don't understand that the internet has changed everything and that they can easily change their lives compared to working really hard in a lot of other ways, and they can get more for less work. That's real, and if you use the internet effectively, you can make that happen. If you want to make that happen, you have to look at the world with a certain kind of framework, a lens, so that you can see all the opportunity that's right in front of you, while everyone around you is bitching and complaining about the world and their circumstance and blaming everybody but themselves for fixing their problems, okay? So, everything boils down to this, the combination of products and interested clients. And it's really important to be able to ask yourself, okay, how is this law of income playing into this picture, right? Let's use a couple examples here. This is a YouTube channel. YouTube channels are one of the best ways to earn money from my perspective because it's very flexible. But you can think about the law of income, right? So let's think about that. Right now, I'm listening to this song. You guys can't hear it because it's in OBS and I muted it. I can go like this, you can hear it. Okay, see. Can't keep it that way because I'm not allowed to play that music, but I can listen to it while I'm making videos, right? So this YouTube video is a digital product, right? It was created by somebody. It's able to replicate independently of them. This person has no idea I'm listening to this right now, but their brand awareness is developing. They're getting financed somehow. If I watch a legit video, this person looks like it's just from someone else. And that's a whole separate world, right? But think about that right now. There's a person who has posted this video and it's getting views because it's on YouTube and people want to watch this. They're like me. They are interested clients. They are fusing with the video. That is where the potential for income exists. And that's where it always exists. And you should ask yourself that question every single time you look at anything that earns money online. You must think of it this way. You must always be asking yourself, okay, where is the product? Where are the interested people? Okay? That's really, really, really important. And that's what this law basically is. Okay, I'll read the rest of it real quick. A product is anything that can be sold. Goods can be, well, okay, I already did that part, sorry. Interested clients are people who are interested in buying your product. How do you pick a product? You start by understanding your client. What problems do they have? Your product is a solution to the problems that your clients have. You can think of it that your products are answers to the questions of your clients. So all you have to do is be able to identify clients that have problems that you feel comfortable creating a product that solves it. That's it. No matter what website you use, no matter if you're blogging or doing something with physical products, that is what it always boils down to. Okay, you can apply these concepts to any form of earning money. So now let's move on to the next. Oh wait, no, there's one more portion here. I forgot another fundamental part of this law of income is that if you want stability, you need to maintain multiple income streams. And an income stream is whatever method you're using to generate money, right? So I run a YouTube channel. YouTube is one income stream for me. So is selling courses on Udemy. That's another income stream. And I also do consulting. That's another income stream. Okay, you want to have as many as possible, and you want to have at least 3. If you are only relying on 1 or 2, and even if you have 3, if one of them represents the majority of your income, you are in a liable situation. So if you want to earn money online and you want to have stability as well, you need to fundamentally change the way that you think about work, because online income isn't a monthly paycheck that you get. It's a series of projects that you put your time into in the past that set yourself up in the future. You work on things for an amount of time, between a couple months, and then you get them started, you get them rolling, you get them to a point where they can grow without you working on them every single day. They still exist. They can still sell, even if you are off doing something else, being distracted by life and its wonderfulness, right? That's a more realistic perspective for a self-employed person. You just keep stacking up these projects, and with enough time, eventually, your work in the past is paying your bills now. And all that you have to do is just keep doing new things so that you can make your future life even better than the life that you have now that you've been given by your past self. It's a bit different than when you're employed, because you can't have that regularity of a paycheck. You don't know that you're going to get paid the same amount every 2 weeks or every month or however it happens. And honestly, it's different. It's a completely different way of thinking. And that's why I think it's really important to teach from the very beginning what these differences are. And with online income, stability comes from multiple income streams. Okay? Now let's move on to the laws of competition. I like these because this is something I haven't conceptualized until recently, where I've known for a long time about the product and traffic, or product and interested clients, or product and consumers, or whatever word you want to disagree and use instead. You get it, right? You create stuff and you create answers to people's problems. Yeah? That mentality, it's important. Always, always, always think about, what are their problems? How can I create answers for these problems? That will separate you from most people, okay? So now let's talk about the laws of competition. How should I? Okay, so I did it that there were 3. I just made these and I only made them in Spanish brain, so I got to review them for a second. El menor ingreso siempre proviene del flujo de ingresos. Okay, the most income always comes from the income stream. Okay, the highest income always comes from the income stream that has the least competition. So if you have 3 or 4 income streams, and one of them is an income stream that you have almost no competition in, this is the income stream that is most likely to provide you with the highest rate of income based on your time spent. In general, the more competition, the harder it is. And so the first rule is that the potential for income is highest when competition is at its lowest. That doesn't mean you can't earn money when it's competitive. It just means the potential to is lower, okay? Now the second one is that everybody has a competitive advantage. The third rule, siempre puedes obtener más ingresos. You'll always earn more money from helping or creating a product that helps your competitors than by fighting against them. Okay? So these are the three things. First one, highest potential for profit exists when there is as little competition as possible. Second rule, everybody has a competitive advantage. Third rule, it's always more profitable to create a product that fixes your competitors' problems than to fight against them. And then the rest of this just explains why these concepts matter and why they should be rules for you, all right? Because remember, whenever I say something like, oh, this is always the case, that can never actually be fully true. But you're going to be better off if from the very beginning, this is how you think. It's going to allow you to see things more objectively and to be able to produce results, because you need to be realistic with yourself and the world you're getting into, right? And so what you got to understand about competition and why it's so important, why I'm telling you, look, more competition means less likely chance that you're going to get what you want. That's what I want you to understand. That's what all of these paragraphs in yellow right here are getting people to understand. If there's high competition, there's also high chance that what you want isn't going to work. If there's low competition, there's a much higher chance that you're going to be able to get what you want and earn some money doing whatever it is that you're trying to do. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do things that have high competition. I just really want you to be on the same page as me here. Higher competition means less chance of being profitable. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but that's how it works, okay? And it's really important that you understand this, because then you'll be interested and you'll understand why I want you to be able to navigate that, okay? If it's true that the most competitive things don't earn much money, then what are you supposed to do? Because most of the things you have access to are highly competitive stuff. Exactly. That's the stuck part. That's the confusing part. And that's why you need to understand two things. You need to understand your competitive advantage, and you need to understand barriers to entry. A competitive advantage is something that gives you an edge over other people, over your competition, okay? And keep in mind, a competitive advantage can be a good thing in one case and a bad thing in another case. Like, for example, if you're super tall, you're more likely to be a really good basketball player. If you're super short, you're going to have a harder time being a basketball player. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's like, that's the thing, right? However, flip it. Imagine we're talking about jockeys, people who ride horses. If you're shorter, you're better off. You're more likely to become a professional. If you're taller, it's way less likely. The context completely changes what the competitive advantage is. So you need to be able to understand the context of the specific niche that you're interested in, the specific income stream, the way you're trying to earn money, okay? And this is where your competitive advantage comes in. You have to figure out what is something that's different about me that gives me an edge in a certain context. So you have to really understand yourself. You have to know what you enjoy, because that's typically what it boils down to. When you enjoy something, it's like a superpower, because you can do it hundreds of times longer than people who don't enjoy it and maintain interest and fascination. That doesn't mean you're always going to be in love with it and fascinated, but you'll be able to produce way more consistent, high-quality results versus somebody who doesn't enjoy it. So that's normally how you identify your competitive advantage, is be like, okay, what is something I enjoy that other people don't enjoy, and how can I compete against those people who don't enjoy this thing I love? That's how you should think, right? Especially if you're thinking, okay, I want to do this self-employment thing. I want to earn money online. I want to figure out my own work, but I haven't started yet. this is how you think in order to figure out where you should enter, what you should start in the beginning, right? So another way to identify your competitive advantage is to think of things you have a lot of experience with, because this also gives you a competitive advantage. And typically, you're going to have a lot of experience with something because you enjoy it. And that's what enabled you to get a lot of experience. Not always. Sometimes it's something that your parents forced you to do, or a girlfriend forced you to do, or a wife, or a husband, or whatever, right? There's a lot of different reasons this will happen. I don't mean to overgeneralize in any way. But if you have a lot of experience doing something, it basically is cheap to you. It's easy. It's free, right? Like for me, I have tons of experience making video. I can bleed video. I can just make it. It's just a switch I can turn on my head. If someone asks me to make a video, I can make a video for them in 5 or 10 minutes if I really want to. It's easy. It's simple, right? But that's only because I've done it so much. I've made over 1,000 videos that I've published, and I've made even more than that have never been published, or were never even recorded properly, or I didn't do something and lost it, right? Like, that took a lot to get to this point. And that's kind of something that's also possible. You can grow yourself a competitive advantage. Just because you don't have a competitive advantage that you want doesn't mean that it's not an option for you. You can put yourself in a situation where you get that competitive advantage. Like in my case, I was not comfortable on video. There was a point in my life where I was incredibly shy. I remember having girlfriends and seeing, like, missing them, and in my head being like, oh, when I see her, I'm gonna go hug her, I'm gonna give her a kiss, it's gonna be great, I'm gonna show her exactly how I feel, yeah, it's gonna be awesome, and then I'd see her, and then I would freeze. I'd be nervous. Like, that was normal for me for a long time. That's how I was. I was a really shy, awkward person. But people who watch my YouTube channel wouldn't think that. They wouldn't know that. They would think, oh, you're just a natural. Well, that's because I forced myself to be this way by exposing myself over and over again, irregardless of how uncomfortable I felt, putting myself out there. It changed me. It gave me this competitive advantage where not only can I create video very quickly, but I can also feel comfortable. That was a new thing to me. I didn't have that before YouTube. Now when I meet people of authority or people who are like well known and intense and intimidating, I'm just like, bring it. The whole wide world is intense and intimidating and you're one person. I can just be comfortable and be myself. It's amazing. But that wasn't a thing that was natural. And I'm telling you this because it's bullcrap that you can't give yourself a skill that you want. If you are persistent, you can become whatever you want. You just have to take control of your life and expose yourself every day to the things that get you closer to what you want, okay? And getting a competitive advantage you feel confident in is important, because this is going to play a big role into what kind of stuff you can do well, okay? But it's not just about competitive advantages. It's also about barriers to entry. So let's go more into that. What is a barrier to entry? A barrier to entry is something that stops most people from doing something. Barriers to entry can be physical, they could be location-based. For example, a lot of Nicaraguan people want to work in the US, but there's the barrier to entry of not being able to get a visa or having US citizenship. These are barriers to entry. People in the United States are lucky in that sense because they're able to work there because they have citizenship. They pass the barrier to entry of having US citizenship, right? But they fail the barrier to entry of working in Nicaragua. Me, for example, I can't get a job in Nicaragua. I'm not legally allowed to take a job away from a Nicaraguan as a foreigner in this context, right? But I can work here. I can live here and work on an online thing that I earn money from based in the US, no problem. And one of the reasons that I'm so confident that this understanding of your competition is important is because of the profound effect it's had on me when instead of trying to grind myself with the competition, I've thought from the very beginning now, how do I put myself in a position where I don't have much competition? And trust me, a lot of people in the world view the Latin American market as a poor place they're not interested in. There's so much preconception and judgment. And of the people in the world who are sharing the kinds of information I'm sharing, these course creators, a lot of them are charging $500 to $1,000 for their courses. I feel incredibly confident that by really pouring my heart into this, making this a beneficial product for the Spanish-speaking community in Nicaragua at a price that's affordable and exponentially cheaper than what anyone else really tends to offer, I can place myself in a scenario where I'll be setting trends where other people copy me, but people won't be able to understand how I'm able to do that, because it hinges on focusing on how much competition you have. What are your advantages? How can you put yourself in a position in the future where you surpass barriers to entry because of a competitive advantage that you possess that places you in a position where your competition is minimal? This is the way you need to think, okay? And that's the basics of the rules of competition. It's all about understanding that competition is probably the thing that affects your chance of profitability most. It's more likely to be a factor than whoever you are, whether you're disabled, whatever country you're from, whatever citizenship whatever has happened in the past. All this stuff is pretty much irrelevant compared to how relevant the amount of competition in the thing that you're trying to do is. And I'm not saying this to say that you shouldn't try and do things that have high competition. I'm trying to get you to really think, what is the competition? What is my competitive advantage? What are barriers to entry? How can I use my competitive advantage to surpass a barrier to entry in a particular field that interests me? This is how you have to think, okay? Now, that's the basics of the mentality stuff that the course teaches. Everything else is in detail about specific income streams, like how to use YouTube. Okay, are you using YouTube for personal development? In that case, you should post content every single day for 1 year and then stop. Or are you trying to do YouTube as a specific business model? In that case, you need to identify a niche. You need to be comfortable. You need to be able to talk about that and sound authoritative. You need to be confident. You need to be able to understand what most common problems are within that niche. You need to involve yourself in communities of forums relevant and related to that niche. You need to do all of these things. And then you need to start producing content on a weekly basis or a twice a week basis that is between 10 minutes and 30 minutes in length. This content needs to be answers to the questions that you know exist. You need to create solutions for the problems that you know people have. Do it on a regular basis, and that's how you create a profitable YouTube channel. However, that's not easy to just jump into. There's a lot that goes into that, right? That's why I think it's important to make the distinction between what are you trying to do with YouTube? Are you trying to do it for personal development? Are you trying to improve yourself? Or are you trying to earn money from it? Because if you're treating it like a business, that's how you should do it. But personally, I don't do it that way. I think YouTube is an incredible, amazing catalyst, and using it for personal development and focusing on that and just letting myself create whatever kind of content I feel interested in, trying new things whenever I want without any kind of restraint on me whatsoever, aside from do I feel confident enough to press publish, that has profoundly changed my life in so many ways. I've had conversations with over 100 people who earn money online doing completely different things. I understand now it's not about if it's possible to earn money online. It's literally way more likely that you're going to earn money online than it is you're going to earn money from stuff in the real world. There is more opportunity for you to earn money online. There's more different ways for you to do it. You can literally use earning money online to turn something in the real world that loses money into something profitable. You can do something that costs you $100 every month and then make content about it and earn money even after you stop doing that thing that was costing you money. Using the internet completely, fundamentally changes the possibilities for earning money online. And the problem is that we're all raised into the world with the wrong mentality. We're raised blind to how true this is. We're told that the internet has changed things, but we haven't been taught because it was too early. But that's where we come in. And that's what my role is to show you just how much opportunity is all around you. And that's the trick. That's the crazy part. I used to think it was about getting more information. I thought that that's all it took. I thought if you led the horse to water, it would drink. But that's not true. You can literally show people how to fix their lives, but they won't do it unless they are in a particular emotional state and they feel into it. They're the only ones who can fix it. And I see now that it's true. It's not just about the information, because the reality is we are all surrounded by all the information we need to fix all of our problems. The thing is, we have to think it exists in the first place. We have to think that it's there. And there is so much pessimism. Most of us are raised in this world completely surrounded by pessimism and cynicism. People are frustrated and angry and bitter, and they're taking it out on everyone else, fucking their lives up, and they don't want to blame themselves, because that would mean that they have to fix things. And that would mean accepting that they can fix things. And that's the reality. That's where we all live. We're here. We're alive. We can fix our problems. And the internet is probably the most effective way to do that. Okay? Oh my God. All right. So yeah, mentality stuff. That's all done. Now, that's all the raw kind of content. Now, I'm just going to get on to a little bit more information about the website itself. Okay? There's a couple things that I'm not sure about. I know I'm going to use WordPress. I know that it's probably going to be called Trabajo Sabio, which means like work wise, or laws of income. I think probably just Trabajo Sabio. It doesn't really matter what it is. Going to design it from mobile perspective. I'm designing this document here on a computer. I can't make that mistake for this website because the vast majority of my demographic, they're going to be using phones. I have to keep that in mind when I make a website. I have to make something that is mobile accessible, and not only mobile friendly, but was designed from the mobile perspective and is PC friendly. Okay, that is really important because between like 60 and 90% of the people who watch my videos are exposed to this website are going to be mobile users. So that's really important. I guess, okay, yeah, I can talk about the 3-stage. Wow, you guys can tell I'm tired, all right? I got to end this pretty soon. But the 3 stages of self-employment is important. I didn't explain this before. Let me explain it. The first stage is disbelief or ignorance. You don't know it's possible to earn money doing what you love in less time. Okay? The second stage is believing that it's possible. You start entertaining that that might be possible, and you start learning more about it. The third stage is understanding it's not possible, it's reality, and you're actively implementing things that you've learned. That's stage 3. So a self-employed person who relies on self-employment for their income is in stage 3. A person who's pursuing knowledge but hasn't integrated the knowledge into their life is in stage 2. And what's interesting about a stage 2 person is they might just be in this stage and then revert back to stage 1. Because stage 1 is ignorance and disbelief. It's thinking it's not possible or not knowing, right? So you can think it's not possible, then you can start entertaining that it might be possible, but then come to the conclusion that it's not possible, and then go back to stage 1. And that happens a lot. Like a lot of people think, oh, that'd be cool. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not that confident. I'm not whatever. I'm not whatever. They make some bullshit up and then they give up, okay? That's pretty common. So people normally will go stage 1, stage 2, stage 1. But typically, people who end up getting into stage 3, they will maybe have done that, but then they'll get back into it. just because you do that doesn't mean you're screwed. Just because you go from 2 to 1 doesn't mean that's where you're stuck forever. It just means that you got to start entertaining the possibility that it's your fault something went wrong or you didn't apply yourself. A lot of people are like, oh, this thing's dead. It's not an opportunity anymore. Oh, well, really, that's just a really convenient way for me to stop doing it because I was stressed and I wanted to do something else, but I didn't have the balls to just do that. You get what I'm getting at? A lot of this stuff's mental, guys. It's all mental. And it's tricky teaching people mental stuff because you have to trick them. You have to trick them into thinking there's some circumstance or something they don't know, some secret or whatever they don't have, and then get them to listen to you, and then just show them it's all in their fucking heads, right? That's the goal. All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, if you want to get in touch with me, you have 2 ways. You can schedule a call with me, and I now offer free consulting for 1 call, okay? So I do free calls where I can record them, and those are always free. If you let me record you, it's always free. And I do paid calls where they cost $20 for 1 30-minute session. We talk about whatever you want. You can literally tell me, teach you this. I will do my best to teach you something. Or you can just vent to me about whatever. You can literally use my time however you want. Just tell me in the note when you schedule the call, okay? And now I'm doing a special where you get to do 1 of these completely free just to try it out, see what it's like, see what talking to me is like, see if you like it, okay? And don't worry, you can do that completely free even if you're never going to do a private call with me. It's okay. So if you want to check that out, go to my Calendly link in the description of this video. It is calendly.com/JackDermottPitman. I will navigate here, calendly.com/JackDermottPitman. Once you go here, you will have multiple options. You will have the option of picking a free public call that is recorded, a 30-minute private call, or by the time you're doing this, there will be a 3rd option for your first test trial of this. It's exactly the same as a private call. No one else knows about it. It's not recorded, except it's free. But it's only free the first time you do it, okay? All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao!